Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Friday Night Love Show with your host, Gilbert King Elisa.
You're listening to the Gilbert King Elisa Show.
And I just want to get into this topic because it seems like we wait for a great part of the week to get to Friday when we're able to live again, so people can see us at our best inside of clubs, walking on the street, in a car, waiting to go someplace where the fun's going to be, where the life is going to happen. And if you're on your way to those places, please get there safely and try not to drink too much. I'm sure there's someone who loves you and cares about you that wouldn't want you to get hurt. But for right now, the best place to be on this Friday night is right here at home in front of your computer, taking a break from Netflix so you can listen and perhaps learn something from what you're about to hear. And I want to talk about love again, because this is a topic that people have been dealing with for years. This is a topic that people have been stuck on for a very, very long time. Some of the greatest songs ever made revolved around this topic. Some of the best kingdoms ever built revolved around this topic. Some of the greatest things ever made revolve around this topic. And it's love. But I want to focus on love as it relates to the 21st century, the age of Tinder, the age of OkCupid, the age of Match.com, the age of Badoo, the age of Beehive, the age of whatever service, Adult Friend Finder, Craigslist, whatever service you choose to make your own. And after a lot of swiping left, after a lot of swiping right, you might find a match. You might find someone that can understand you, someone that can see you for the person that you are, for the person that you don't show to the world, but you're waiting to show that person that has the patience of getting to know you a little more than anyone else. And it's with that energy that many, many people, they shell out $20 a month. Many people shell out $40 a month. Many people shell out $120 for 6 months for the chance to get close to another person. The kind of person that can make them forget everyone else that was in front of them. The kind of person that can help them start their future now, sooner than later. Or the person that can scratch your itch. The person that can make you feel better just for a little while. The kind of person that you can bring home for the holidays before it gets too cold and no one dares to come out alone if you're on the East Coast or in a part of this country where it gets cold, unbearable for the winter. With that being said, don't feel alone if you think that there's going to be a long period of time before you find someone after you've not been going out for a long time. It's only natural. If it took you so long to find someone, if it took you 20 years to find someone who you really, really enjoy their company, what makes you think that all of a sudden you're going to find someone that you automatically just gel with, who you mix with and wants to share in your undivided company? But that's what sites will promise you. That's what they will tell you. They'll tell you, if you pay me this amount of money, if you pay us this amount of money, we are going to guarantee you a partner, a relationship, the man of your dreams, the woman of your dreams. And for a few more dollars, you could connect your Instagram profile, your Facebook profile, your LinkedIn profile, and you'll be able to share in their life as long as you're fine with sharing them with the rest of the world. The rest of the world that is also invested in them. The rest of the world that also wants to see the person who you're going out with or may go out with when they're walking down the street, when they're on vacation, when they're in the changing room trying out different outfits, when they take a step, when they wake up, when they go to sleep, when they take a shower. And this is someone who you've invested in. So the question I ask is, does it really pay off to invest in anyone anymore in the 21st century? Because they can give very little to you and everything else to the world. I repeat, does it really pay to invest in someone when they can give very little to you but everything else to the rest of the world, with a hashtag on the bottom and a little bit of attention here and a little bit of attention there? Or is that just the way that we've evolved as human beings, where to be constantly in front of someone or to be in their life exclusively is just something of the past, and it should be updated like the last version of Windows? And if so, who's going to brief us? If so, is it something that we just have to get used to? If so, what do we tell grandma when she asks, what is a Tinder? What is a Facebook? What is a Match.com? Because when I met your grandfather, I just seemed to meet him in a very different way. Is it wrong to be expecting so much from a relationship? Is it wrong to expect that one person will be enough for another person? Right? Because relationships can get boring. You can change your mind. You'll see someone else that you like better, someone who is more attractive, who's more intelligent, who has a better job, someone that has everything that you ever wanted, someone who has a nice car, someone that can engage and be social in a social situation, someone that can be spontaneous and take you places, someone that can pull out the real you from the inside, someone who can see you for who you are, someone who will be okay with your dog, your cat, your poetry from junior high school that your teacher said was good. Someone that's okay with you having 3 sons, 3 daughters. Someone who is okay with your religion. Someone that is okay with you not being the only person in their life. At what point are you asking for too much? At what point are you getting just what you're supposed to be getting? At what point are you expecting too much but doing too little? At what point are you expecting too much but doing too little? How many people is too much for one person to be with at the same time? How many times can we hide a cell phone ring, a notification from Tinder while we're on a date, before we realize I have better options? At what point do you really commit to someone? Is it when you say you're in a relationship? Or is it when you disconnect your ex-boyfriends from your social platforms who's been sending you messages on the down low? At what point is it okay for your current partner to find out about your ex-partner? At what point is it okay to keep friends in your life because no one can control you? At what point are you independent? How many friends is too many? At what point are you going to feel like you're worthless because the person that you're with is not valuing your attention, your time? When are you going to allow yourself to go on vacation by yourself? When are you going to allow yourself to remove yourself from the pattern of thinking that has kept you in this circle where you feel you just need people and people and people to be okay with yourself? Is there ever going to be a time when there's some space between one relationship and another? Is there ever going to be some time that there's some space between one relationship ending and another one starting? How well do you know yourself? How can someone else know you if you don't know yourself? Have you given yourself enough time to think about the things that you want and your exclusive company? How many people is enough? How many people is enough for you to feel like you're validated? How many selfies need to be posted until you realize, well, they're all the same picture. I just need to know that I'm the biggest fish in my pond and I'm still available even though I'm taken. At what point does that happen? At what point does someone who says they want to be married, they're looking for something serious, decide to remove themselves from 13,000 friends on one single profile? At what point does your partner make you upset so you could start looking at the next best thing, which is right around the corner? Just another swipe, another like, another private message in your inbox. When does that happen? At what point are half-truths as good as full lies? How many years do you have before you get old? And the compliments you were getting and the attention you were getting is something that you have to try harder to keep. Why does this matter? How long are you going to try to impress someone who's not looking for you? How long do you have to keep trying to impress someone who is not bringing you up in conversation? The reason why some dates probably don't go as good as others is probably because you're bored and wanted something to do, and the best thing that you could have done was go out with someone who showed some interest in you, someone who fought for your attention more than someone else this week. Gentlemen, at what point are you going to stop trying to compete with one another for the attention of people that don't want you? People who will easily go to someone else as quickly as a disagreement. Ladies, how long are you going to keep listening to plans and strategies on how to land a partner, but not figure out ways on how to make things work once you catch a partner? Why does anybody want to be fished? Why does the world want everyone to be married? What's wrong with getting to know yourself? How about if you don't want to go out on a Friday? How about if you don't live for Saturday night? Have you ever been on a date and realized that we've already spoken everything that we need to say to one another? And I've been through this a few dozen times. Same stories, the same quick methods of trying to get someone. Then to realize we probably don't have that much in common. If one of us doesn't take our clothes off right away, this is going to feel like a big waste of time and a waste of money. Will it still be worth it? How many people can honestly tell their children who are dating in 2017 that they shouldn't look for the things that they did parents look for 30 and 40 years ago, 50 years ago, with a straight face and not feel like you're being deceptive? In the age of information and the age of options, you have the option to not make any decision clearly. And with that comes, yes, a lot of confusion, a lot of people not knowing where they stand, a lot of emotion, feeling like they've been played with. Ladies and gentlemen, don't fool yourselves. Do not fool yourselves. There's big business being made off of your ignorance on a daily basis. It's not only just partners, potential partners. The business of love is one of the biggest businesses in the world. The business of love is one of the biggest businesses in the world. The business of love is what Hollywood is based off of. Storybooks are based off of. The literature, the book industry is based off of. And it always seems to go the same way. Man wants woman. Woman wants to be wanted by man. Somehow they find each other after a big, long fought battle or courtship. Somehow they have a disagreement, or someone does something considered stupid, and both people end up separated after this rift. The plot thickens, and now that rift have to be repaired because that's the way it's been written on the script, which usually involves a man coming back to the woman after he admits that he was foolish, after he admits that it was all his fault, and after she's decided to forgive him, to lower herself to even be in his presence, then they get back together. Then they decide to have this big party, usually a wedding, and then they run off into the sunset, never to be seen again. And somehow we are to believe that they are going to be happily ever after. Ladies and gentlemen, if someone can just blow you off just because of a disagreement, what makes Hollywood think that they're just going to live happily ever after? The music industry revolves around heartbreak, or one partner chasing another, or one partner losing another. And they romanticize it. And they talk about this being a real kind of love. The kind of love that no one would understand unless you're in it. But somehow millions of people relate to it because many people are either looking for something like that or find themselves in relationships that they can't really explain at the moment. Many people find themselves in relationships that they really can't explain at the moment. Relationships that go by the title of complicated. Relationships that go at the title of just ask. A relationship that go under the title just read my profile. Relationships that have to remain hidden. Relationships that is one of many, that are one of many, many, many relationships. People looking for a window of time to include someone else for a little bit of time. Is this the new way of dating? If so, why are people still getting married? If so, why do we still use terms as boyfriend and girlfriends? Or does Zipcar have the right idea? For this window of time, you are allotted this much usage. And then when that time is up, you either have to pay if you want extra time, or you put it back where you found it. You either pay for that extra time or you put it back where you found it so someone else could use it. In the age of independence, is there any room for a relationship? Is there any time for a relationship? In the age of Netflix, you have so many shows to catch up on. Is there any time for conversation? Is there any time to get to know someone beyond their bodily fluids? In the age of someone just around the corner, is there any time to even go out and share anything together? Or is that overrated? Was it ever something that was necessary? How many times haven't you been talking to someone and you realize they don't agree with the words you're saying, or they have the slightest idea of what you're talking about, but just to keep on getting along, they just they just agree with everything until they come to it. Then when someone does that, they're really just saying either make a move or shut up. They're either saying make a move or shut up. So think about it. How many times have you been on a date and you're just listening to a person talk and there's no room for you to say anything, or they don't feel that they're going to say who they truly are because they think that's going to ruin their chances to land you? How many times haven't you been out on a date and people are just quiet until they get what they want, until they land you? Ladies and gentlemen, the purpose of a date is to get to know someone. Ladies and gentlemen, the purpose of a date is to figure out if the person who is sitting in front of you, or who was representing themselves online, is the person that was sitting in front of you at the moment. It's not the time to be talking about Netflix episodes that will teach you nothing about the person sitting in front of you. Those are arbitrary things. You can have that conversation with anyone. Gentlemen, if you're out on a date with a woman and you probably invited her out because there was something about her body that interested you, you probably did not read her profile. There was something about her body that interested you. Either she had a chest that was up to here or a behind that was up to here, brothers. And you decided, this is the kind of woman that I want other people seeing me walk with. The thing is, if a woman knows she has these things about her that a lot of guys want, guess what? A lot of guys are going to want it. And in that, you also have to leave room so that if the person is not a person of good moral judgment, you have to perhaps not mind not being one of many guys who is interested in this woman just because of her physical attributes. Gentlemen, on a date, if you're just splurging on a woman, you're taking her different places, you're taking her to $800 a night hotels, you're buying food, you're buying drinks, you're taking her to places where she probably has never been before, then you haven't really given her a chance to show you if she's really interested in you or the things that she's doing while she's with you. I repeat, if you're trying to impress her with your car, the things that you buy her, the places you go with her, and you're not getting anything from it, automatically it sends a signal that says, well, he must be doing these things for me because he's a sucker, because I have done nothing to earn these things. I have done nothing in return for him. So you always want to be getting something as well as giving something. If you're the type of guy who's just going to be like, oh, no, it's okay. No, I'll take care of this. I'm just going to do everything for her. Then you're going to get a lot of things that you didn't bargain for. You're going to get a lot of situations that you didn't bargain for. If you're buying her cell phones and paying her cell phone bills and you're buying her shoes, then you don't know if she wants you for the things that you can buy her or if she really likes you for you. And here's a hint. Most people are going to like you for the things you can do for them, for you. Most people are going to like you for the things you can do for them. And that's just being honest with you. If, again, if you find someone who is genuinely likes you for you, then More power to you. But most people are going to like you for the things they feel you can do for them, or what the things that they can get when they're around you, or what you've shown that you've already done for them. So that's why I say the first date is where you find out some of these things. And then if you go on vacation with someone, if you feel that they've earned your time and your company, then you can start planning trips. And on the first trip, it's not going to be someplace magnanimous. It's not going to be someplace in Dubai that has a overlooking view of the desert, the ocean, and the heavens at the same time. What's going to happen is you're going to start off by taking her someplace that's reasonable if you're going to take her someplace. And you're going to listen for a few things. Is she being cooperative? For example, if you offer to pay for the room, is she offering to pay for the food? Even if it's a place that's not that expensive. If it's a place right around your neighborhood, see if she even cooperates with that. Because if she can't cooperate with the small things, you have to keep your ears open. If you can't cooperate with the small things, and you can't come through with your obligations when it comes to the small things, what's expected of you when it comes to the small things, then you can't trust that person with the bigger things. It's the same way as when you go to work, they'll give you small and menial tasks to do that sometimes are out of your job description just to see if you can handle it. And dating is not any different. When you're going out with the person, if the person says, I'm going to call you tomorrow at 3 so we can set up a meeting later that day, see if they call you at 3. See if they call you. If they call you on time, great. If they call you 1 minute before, great. If they call you 8 o'clock at night, that's a red flag. And many times you miss a lot of these red flags. And other times, these red flags, you put them there on purpose just to see how the person acts when they're given these red flags. So sometimes people will put these red flags in front of you just to see how you'll act, just to see how nice you are. Because how you respond to that will tell someone this is what they're used to, this is what they'll put up with, this is what they won't put up with. And a lot of people like to test like that. Personally, I don't like to get tested, and I end it quickly. When it comes to being tested like that, I put an end to those tests, and they're able to see that. If you are the type of person who gives tests, you have to realize that sometimes when you pass the test, you might not see the person anymore. And you also have to realize that sometimes when you pass the test, it's a test that someone wants to keep being in your class, but now instead of seeing you as seeing yourself as being as a class, they're going to see you as not as someone they can work with, but they're going to see you as a student, and somehow like a child. So if you are the type of person who likes to test people, just know that, well, it doesn't feel good to be tested, because while you're testing someone else is taking you seriously. Now, what you can do is put out some of the things that, if you're out on a date with someone and it comes time for the check to come, and it's a restaurant where you both agreed to go to, and it comes time to pay, and you're paying a lot, and it's a restaurant where, hey, we both agreed, you both had a good time, and usually did most of the talking, and you engaged there and everything like that. And she pulls something like, okay, I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'm just going to go to the bathroom and stay in the bathroom until the bill's cleared up. You don't have to pay for both of you. You can actually just pay for yours, and when she comes back, you can pay for hers. If you feel that the person is testing you in this way. Because another thing that you can do if you're the woman in the situation, you can say, well, I can, first of all, if you're a woman, you should probably not let any guy pay for you in the beginning, just because a lot of times when guys pay for you, they feel like you owe them something. And if you don't feel like you want to be owed anything, you just stay away from it. Just stay away, cover your own bill. You know, this works both ways. because the moment where someone has to come out of pocket out of something that you both did together, or you both enjoyed, then it's not even about whether he can afford it or not, or whether you can afford it or not. It's about what the expectation is after something is done for you, because there's no reason for, after the age of, I guess, 15, 16 years old, where everyone lives in a world where they have to work, where someone, just because of your niceness, should have to cover your bill. I never have that problem, but I'm saying if someone is covering your bill, then it's usually some exchange taking place, whether it's, hey, you're either doing something when you get to my house. It could be taking out the garbage. It can be doing some cleaning. It could be if we go to the supermarket afterwards, you're going to pay for the groceries that we're going to both enjoy together. So that's the way you would establish some kind of balance. Now, if you don't mind covering everything, I would say that you probably should mind, just because when you don't have to come out of pocket for something, you tend not to appreciate it that much. So just think about most of the things that you've gotten for free. And usually when you get something for free, whatever it is, if you get something for free, many times you're not going to value it until it's something that you actually know how many hours you had to work for it, or how many things you had to do, for how many places you had to maneuver to go, so you can make that up. So if you're going someplace and, for example, and the vacation is going to be about $7,000, and you're expected to cover everything, that's something you might want to talk about before. I had a conversation with guys where they're always saying, well, I'm always paying for everything. Well, either you set that precedent, or you led it to believe, well, just by you coming around here with your pretty face was going to be enough. So even if you're in someone's house, they have to, even if you're in someone's house, there's always some value you can give yourself. So it can be, you finish eating, you start doing the dishes. It can be, well, I've been here for more than one day. I can start mopping the floors. I can offer to do laundry. I can offer to get some groceries. I can get groceries. Most of the time, you just have to do things. Don't even ask. Just do them. Especially if you know that someone is covering your bills, you have to just do it so the person doesn't feel abused. This is if you're a person of character. Many people in 2017, they know that they can get a free meal every single day just by pouting their lips, just by sticking out the body part that a lot of people are going to enjoy. So that's something you have to look out for. The other thing is, if you're going to go someplace, make sure you know the things you should be looking out for, because many times I don't need someone to pay a bill when I go out with them, but I'm looking to see how they react when the bill comes. It's a matter of principle. So if the person is looking at the bill as something that they're not going to be responsible for, you usually see them do a game like, let's say these tools were my wallet, were their wallet, and they act like they were going to take something out, but they're actually looking for you to say, oh, no, I got this. I have this. And many people will feel offended if they have to come out of pocket. But that's how you know this is a person I want to see again, or this is somebody who I don't want to see again, because if for no other reason, I don't feel this is someone who's going to cooperate with me. And especially younger guys, younger girls, if you're with someone who you see is not cooperating with you, don't expect them to automatically just start cooperating with you. Because even in points in my life where I've seen, where I haven't been able to give my best to someone as far as cooperation, I wouldn't suggest to go out somewhere where I would have to be expected not only to pay for dinner, pay for lunch or brunch, but someplace that I would have to tip also. So what you can do in that situation, especially if you're young and you don't know exactly what to do when it comes to a date, what you might, or don't have a lot of money to go out, what you might want to do is, you could go out the first time and see how it goes. And it's not going to be someplace exuberant or that expensive that it blows your wallet and everything that you made 4 days of work if you're young. But you can also suggest you could come to my place and we could eat there. We can go. So it doesn't have to be someplace that is out and catered and wined and dined. It can be something that you make at home, and sometimes it's even more personal because a person gets to see what went into your food. The person gets to see what you created just by the spices you use. That's the way it used to be done, and that's the way that a lot of people still yearn for that type of thing, but they don't know where to find it because right now we're living in a time where everything is fast and immediate, and something like cooking, where it's an art. It's not, before selfies was an art and there was such a thing as a food hashtag, there was people actually creating food that they had to put together, and it worked inside of you to nourish you, and it was something that was prepared over time, and you were able to sit in one place, you were able to talk in one place, and you were able to engage in one another's conversation. So if you're on a date with someone and you're at a place where you're spending, let's say, $50 each for lunch, first of all, if you're going to be surrounded by a lot of other people, sometimes you can't even hear what the person is saying. Sometimes you can't even, take the person in, because every 2 seconds the waiter is trying to earn their tip and coming to your table, seeing if everything's okay, if you need more water, if you need more bread, if you need more wine. And sometimes I just wish, you could send them back to the kitchen and say, I'll call you when I need you, right? So, but they're doing it to earn a living because their bosses are not paying them a lot of money. So it falls on you when you go to these restaurants. The other thing you want to look out for is, now, if the person is just hanging at your place, and it's one thing if you're messy at your house, but it's another thing if the person is messy at your house. See, I don't mind my mess, but I mind someone else's mess when they're in my place. Just like the way that I talk in my house at my place is not the way that I'm going to talk when I go to my friend's house. Because of his wife I'm not going to talk this way in front of his wife. I'm not going to talk this way in front of his children. And I'm not going to talk this way in front of even if it's a family member's house. But that's the other kind of thing you want to look for. The person at your house, how much respect are they treating your place? Sometimes people just come into your place, and if you don't agree with smoking, they start smoking in your place, or if you don't agree with a certain kind of talk, they start talking reckless in your place, and they're acting as if they have no sense of place. And that's something that for a lot of people is very attractive. Knowing where you are, knowing how to behave in any given situation, knowing that, okay, well, things can, I'm at this place and this person keeps their place a certain way. So I'm going to do my best to also keep it that way too. But some people are just clueless and not aware of where they are. Excuse me. So if you have enough time, the rule you should follow is, if you have enough time to make a mess, you have enough time to clean it. If you have enough time to give to your work life, you have enough time to give to your personal life if you require a personal life. And one thing you're going to see, fellas, is how people treat your time when they think that they already have you in the bag. If someone feels that you are not a priority, they're not going to treat you like a priority. So what you want to look out for is people who like to break off engagements, people who like to break off plans that you've already met, but don't really reschedule. They don't reschedule because either they have better options or they feel that the attention you've been giving them is enough so that they can come back to you at any time and you'll be fine with it. They don't feel like they have any competition. They feel they can treat you like a pet. As long as I look your way once every 2 or 3 months, then you're going to be okay. So that's why I say never, 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 never just chase people automatically for no reason. If someone wants to be with you, the easiest thing for the person to do is want to be with you, to make that happen. When someone really wants to be with you, that person makes it happen. So if someone says, well, tomorrow we're going to go here, we're going to do that, I'm going to give you a call, and you see the person gives you a call when they don't show up, but then you see that they're posting online, then you see that they've gone to different places, or they call you in 3 days and they say, hey, how you been? Totally disrespecting anything that you had set up. That's when you just don't even get upset. Just keep going. Keep going. Because some people are good at including people in their life and making things work, but other people just are good at wasting time. So we can't remove that from their department. Everybody's good at something. So some people are good at wasting time. So you have to become even better at knowing those signs when someone is wasting your time. Those other signs can be when you go to a party, someone invites you to a party, and you go to the party, but instead of talking to you, they're talking to everyone else, and they're going around, they're butterflying all around the room, getting to speaking to anyone, speaking to everyone. And eventually they'll make their way to you, but they can be talking to someone, but they're keeping their eye on you just to see how you respond, just to see what you're going to do, just to see that, okay, well, I have this guy here who's after me. Or sometimes people say, hey, come see me at work, just so the coworkers could see that, you know what, I have people coming after me, and, you know, I'm so popular. Other times people give you their work number as well instead of their home number or their cell phone number, not only because they could be seeing someone else, but because they like someone calling their job and saying, oh, there was someone here looking for you. He sounded cute, or he sounded, you know, so you want to just get away from situations where you feel people are wasting your time. And if you're like me, you're always doing something. You don't have time for people to be wasting your time, because guess what? You can find people online. You can find people in person. You can find people anywhere. So nothing's ever that desperate that this is going to be the only opportunity where you can find someone. But if you treat it like this is the only opportunity, and this is the only person that I can be with, and I'm only going to be happy when I'm with this person, and it's the only person that can make me happy, then that's you giving them too much power. And once you feel that someone feels like they have too much power, it's almost natural that now they have to abuse it, because you've given that to them. You've ascended their value to a level that they've never thought of, or they've gotten from someone else, but they know deep down inside that they didn't earn. And like I said before, anytime you're getting something for free, you are not going to appreciate it. And what they're not appreciating in this situation is your company, your attention, and things like that. So the best thing that you can do in something like that is just cut yourself off from a person like that in a relationship. Amen said it's all about cooperating. Amen said it's all about sharing and cooperating to make the other one happy, and in the same way from the man to his woman, and drop the woman to her man. Okay, not really. I don't think that you can make anyone happy. I think that's something that a person can see their own happiness in you, but you can't really make anyone happy. And I've been in enough relationships to know that you can't make anyone happy. You can be happy that you've met someone, and that person can be happy that they met you. But I think that if you're really going to be happy, you're going to be happy because this person is complimenting something that you've already started. So it's almost like, well, I got in the car and I started driving, but the car was already on. If I just get in the car and I think the car is going to make me happy, but the car has no engine, then that car is not going to work. That car is not going to move. So I can see, I'm all about cooperation when I'm in a relationship. But the thing is, me cooperating should not mean me not being myself to make you happy. My happiness is not involved in me stopping the things that come naturally to me. And I think the quicker we realize that is when we start to see that, well, I'm not making this person happy, and I can't change anyone. If the person was a sad depressive before they met me, they're going to continue to be a sad depressive with me. They might just hide it from me. They might work on it, but I'm not going to change the person. If the person was used to having 5 boyfriends at the same time, Or if the guy was used to having 6 girlfriends at the same time, you're not going to change him. There's nothing between your legs that's going to change that. It's something that's either they're going to do or they're not going to do. But if it's in them to do, they're going to do it until they see no value for them doing that. If you've already shown that you've accepted that they're going to do it, then there's no reason for them to stop. There's no reason for them to say, well, I'm not going to, there's no reason for me to stop, so I'm just going to keep doing it. It's like you see a kid that has not been disciplined in a long time. I'm not talking about hitting. I'm talking about discipline, shown right from wrong. And then all of a sudden, he's an adult and you expect him to just straighten up? No. He has to see some kind of value in him doing the right things consistently. So personally, I know if I'm around somebody for a long time who I'm going out with, it's going to bother me because inside of me, there's some things that I have to do, whether it's travel, whether it's work on whatever I need to work on. That's going to make me happy. This person is not going to make me happy. I'm going to be happy when I'm with them because I've already finished doing the things that I needed to do. And then we can share in that space. And that person should be doing that same thing. But if the person is just calling me when they're bored, guess what? I don't get bored that often. So they're going to be looking to me as their only outlet to make them happy. So a question that you might want to ask during that first date when you get to know someone is, what do you like to do on your free time? Because whatever someone does repeatedly tells you a little bit about who that person is. If someone on their free time, all they do is play video games, then just because they get into a relationship doesn't mean they're going to stop playing video games. If someone is into computers or they like to travel, just because they get in a relationship doesn't mean that you're both going to travel together. Doesn't mean that everywhere you go, you're both going to do it, because there's something about traveling that this person liked. It wasn't a team effort before you met the person. Cooperation doesn't mean we have to do everything together. It could just mean, okay, well, we're going to schedule this time, or we're going to just spontaneously meet at this time. And that time that we have together is just that time that we have together. And that could mean more, because that could mean even more, because instead of having to be forced to be in front of someone, you're willingly deciding every single day, I'm going to be with this person. You're willingly deciding, I'm making a conscious effort to be with this person, where you can be anywhere. You can be anywhere. So you can be away. I can go away for a month. If I come back and I'm with this person, me just being away for a month was me being away for a month. But it should be an understanding that you establish in the beginning. So if I'm on that first date and the person who I'm talking to is telling me, I ask the person, what do you like to do on their free time? They're like, I don't know. What do you like to do? They didn't answer the question. They're waiting to see what I'm going to say, to see if they can find something that sounds like what they like to do. And the thing is, I think people, when they hear you go first, when they hear you answer first, they're able to mimic whatever they think you need or what you want to hear. And that only lasts for a short while. And the person doesn't have to repeat what you said, but they won't say anything. Many times people just won't say anything. When people won't say anything, they can't say that they agree. They can't say that they disagree. It just means that they're just going along with it, and they don't want to put their foot in their mouth, so you can eliminate them for whatever process that you have when you're going out on the first date. People are smart. You got to give that to us. If you tell me that you want to meet someone who's religious, someone who believes in God, someone who believes in Jesus, who's Christian and who's Muslim, I'm going to tell you what you want to hear. If you want to say, I'm not looking for a guy who's like this and like that, I'm going to tell you what you want to hear. So the best thing to do is to listen, ask, don't judge verbally, don't judge with your physical actions. Just take it in and listen, process it. Some things you're able to live with, and some things you're not able to live with. But one thing that you're gonna see is that the more you are yourself, there are gonna be some people that agree, there are gonna be some people that disagree, but either way, it should not matter. It should not matter because the most important thing you want to do, fellas, is not have your time wasted. Not have your time wasted, because there's always someone that you can go to and say, well, I like my time with this person, and this person likes the time with me, and we're sharing in this time, and we're making this work. Now, I think back, if I was married for, let's say, since the time that I was 20 years old, I don't know if I would still be married now, just because it took such a long time for me to try to get to know who I was and the things that I liked. And I have spent a lot of time by myself, that I enjoy my own company. And that's something that a lot of people can't say, because they haven't had a lot of time away from someone else. And there's some people who feel they don't need that time, or they don't know what to do with their time by themselves. And this is not to say that it's better. My way is better, but I've just had a different way about it. I just got handed a different deck of cards that some people decide to take, other people decide not to take. And I guess things that we do a lot of times are based on regret. And many people decide to have children because they know that it's part of their biological process, and they don't want to miss out on having children. And I could honestly tell you, there are times where I feel like I can have children, and there are times that I feel that I don't need children because I like the way it is. And a lot of times I feel, well, I can meet people who I can get along with, and then other times I've met people who I always feel I can meet people who I can get along with. But you just have to go into a situation knowing who people are, which means they're not good, they're not bad, they're just people. And once you accept people for what they are, who they are, you just can't be caught out there and just saying, "Oh, well, this is, I didn't know this could happen." I'm not surprised by many things anymore when I hear them, because I know that we're capable of great things and we're capable of not so great things. But when you're open, you can pretty much do anything. When you're open, there's no one to say, well, you can't do that, or you're not supposed to do that, because when you're going to do something, you're just going to do it. No one's going to give you permission about what you can do, what you're not going to do, how you should feel. They can't shame you for breaking up with someone because you didn't like the person anymore. They can't shame you for having kids because you don't have a kid by a certain age. So that, those are things that come with age, and you shouldn't be in the same place where you were when you were 20. And I'm far removed from that now. And if I had to do it again, I would like to perhaps just keep thinking, perhaps just keep doing the things that matter to me, because that's what a lot of people, many times, they complain about. And I see people in relationships, I see people who are married a lot of times, and it has its benefits, but they have this look sometimes like they've given up, like okay, well, this is as good as it's going to get for me, or they stop doing the things that once mattered to them, and they wonder where their youth went, and they wonder where the energy went, and they wonder, well, how can I ever be someone that how can I regain my energy and my excitement about life like I did when I was younger? And many times the answer is separating from the person and being in your own space. But sometimes you just have to let the person know what you're feeling, because if no one knows what you're going through, then you're going to be many times suffering in silence, and something that can easily be fixed could just be the difference between you being in the person's face every day and looking at them in disdain, waiting for them to slowly pass away so you can regain your freedom, when knowing that, no, you can have it now. You can do whatever you want. And if you find yourself in one of these situations, you should also know how to read people's faces and people's emotions. You can easily find out, or just know by looking, when someone has lost their respect for you. You can easily know when someone doesn't value your time. You can easily know when someone is not valuing your attention or the things that you're giving them, but you keep giving them things to see if you can win them over, and just try to regain some of that spark that you had at the beginning of a relationship. So I don't know how that's done, because I haven't been in a relationship so long that I would know exactly what to do if I was married for years, 15, 20 years, and what you're supposed to do at this point, and At what point do you feel like the love has died? And what point do you feel like, hey, there are more people out there, or you start going through your own mini crisis? And what you do when you no longer feel the same way over someone that once you proclaimed a lot of love for. And these are things that people shy away from because, believe it or not, most people try to avoid confrontation, but they carry it around with them, and they many times would rather go behind someone else's back and do things that will further hurt their relationship and their respect for the other person, then actually tell them, you know what, this is not working. This is not something that is working for me anymore. I was young. I was inexperienced. I'm not the same person. I feel like I've evolved into 2 or 3 other people during the time that I was with someone. And now I don't know what to do with, I don't know what to do with this person. I don't know how I fit into your life anymore. And I see the way that you look at other people. You don't look at me that way anymore. And I don't know if that's still important, but it's something that I want to explore, something that I want to experience. And sometimes the hardest thing to do is to tell the person that you love that, you're just used to them. And that can be a good thing. But for many people, it's not something that they look forward to. For some people, they want that excitement always, even if it doesn't do them any good. But sometimes people just want to know that, hey, I value you not only as a utility, but also as someone that you still find attractive, someone that you still feel some kind of passion for, someone that I can still feel I can build with, or someone that can still be turned on by you. And you can do that in a lot of ways. There's a lot of things that you can do. I mean, I look at a lot of couples when they're walking by themselves and, they're touching each other and they're put their arm around one another and they act like if they were alone in the street and no one's looking. And, they're going through things that many old people already stopped doing, or many young people are just looking forward to do. But, there's something beautiful about that. But again, you can't really tell what goes on in a relationship just by seeing a beautiful picture. You don't know what's going on in a relationship just by hearing by what someone says when they're put on the spot. Because sometimes when you put on the spot, you're just saying whatever you are supposed to say, or you think you're supposed to say, because you've been trained to say it when you're put on the spot. So I think it's good to have a honest dialogue with whoever you're with, as well as not have a big filter where you feel that you can't say what you mean. And one thing that I will always do when I meet someone, I will always talk to them in the same way that I'm talking to you, or the same way that I talk to a close friend, just to see if they get offended. Because if they're going to get offended by something that I say and it's the first time that I meet them, then when it comes time for me to talk to them, or for me to bring up something to them that is important to me, then they're probably going to take it in a way that I don't feel comfortable going back to them and saying it. Or I'm going to feel comfortable coming back to them and saying it, but they're going to blow up and they're not going to listen to what's being said. They're just going to write it off as something that, well, this is not something that I can respect because it's not the way I would have said it. And so the way that you communicate with someone is as important as what you communicate with someone. Because everybody has their own way to experience love. Everybody has their own way to experience just being in a relationship with someone. And sometimes the very thing that you need is the last thing that you're getting. And there are people in relationships that no one knows that they have a hidden talent, or someone doesn't know their favorite color, or someone doesn't know that, at one point in their life, they didn't want to be whatever it is that they were doing. But that's because usually after you get into bed with someone and you start getting intimate with someone, you just stop asking questions and you just start becoming someone to relieve your tensions physically. So when it comes to that, that's what I mean. When you go out with someone for the first time, you want to get in as much as you can about yourself. But not only that, but ask a lot of questions about them. I think we can be very interesting people over the last 15 years or so. Probably a lot less interesting, just because of the distractions that we've had with the rise of the internet. which made most people a lot less interesting than they were before, just because you have the option of not being present. You have the option of being here with someone, or you can be all around the world with someone else, or you can be on Instagram with someone else, or you can be on Facebook with someone else, but you just don't have to be present. So the things that make someone, those intimate conversations that many times people are not getting it, but they're putting into their pets and their dogs, are conversations that many times are lost because of distraction. Also, but more importantly, if someone doesn't feel they can talk to you, they won't. Like I think many people would just rather suffer in silence just so they won't be alone than tell you what they're really feeling. And the way I see it manifest nowadays is in the beginning of a relationship, you see there are a whole bunch of pictures on Instagram and on Facebook and on Twitter about your new relationship. There's this excitement that you wish could continue until the time that you're old and gray, but it takes about 3 months, and then you see that those pictures stop showing up. You start seeing that you just get back in line with everyone else who's in a relationship, and maybe that's a normal level of comfort. But again, if you're gonna feel the need to display your comfort with someone else on social media, it has. I don't see the benefits. I don't see the great benefits from it, because first of all, what attracted you to this person is something that everyone is now seeing. Okay, well, this person loves this person so much. How can I mess that up for them? Many people think like that. I mean, I know many people who just think that, how can I ruin what this person has, or so they can become available, because this person has shown that they're great within the relationship, or at least that's what they put online. But if I want something like that for myself, why should I get something like that when I can have what you have? And never put it past certain people to just try to ruin what you have for their own benefit. And the person I blame the most is the person who decided to make this thing public, the person who decided to show everyone this is how we do things. This is where we go. This is where we are. This is where, because in an age where information is shared so rapidly, I might want to write that person and say, wow, I like the way that you look with your girlfriend on vacation. Wow, I like the way that you and your girlfriend were traveling here. I like the way that you were doing this and doing that. And she never has to find out about it. So if you feel the most important part of a relationship is to be online, to be active online, and to let everyone know of the things that your partner brings you and why you're so happy, there's an infatuation that comes with it for you, just being a part of a new relationship. But know that everyone's not going to see it your way. You can just be drinking coffee at a cafe, and you post it, and someone can feel jealous just because they feel that, well, I'm not doing it. I know where that cafe is, and if I see the person that they're going out with there, I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to step up to them and act like it's no big deal when I already know everything about them, because I already did my background check on them. So that's another thing that could complicate relationships. They did a poll of 1,000 women, and 78% of those 1,000 women said that social media was in some way becoming a hindrance in their relationship when it comes to their partner. Think about that. That's 78%. So that's roughly saying 3 out of 4 think that there's some hindrance between their relationships, and because of social media. And you could call it more just media, because it's not very social. It's just people just saying whatever they want. But when you feel that social media, you're in a relationship and you're at the point where whatever you're saying online is now going to be about your partner, is going to be broadcast towards everyone else. Guess what? Someone else might want a piece of your partner. Someone else might say, you know what? They look so good together. That could have been me a few years ago. That could still be me, but no one has to find out. Many times people that contact you on social media are people that are already with other people. They don't necessarily want to leave the person that they're with, but they want some kind of excitement in their life. Some people just go off of drama. They want some excitement in their life, so they'll tell you where they'll be. They'll tell you how to find them, but they won't tell you exactly what they're looking for you. It's up to you to pick up the hints. And if I'm going to pick up the hint, I'm going to say that perhaps you're not too excited about your relationship. Perhaps you're not too excited about how you're living your own life. And it's, especially when you can have 2 or 3 different profiles or even more, one for every state. I've been on dating sites where people just have 5 or 6 different profiles, and you're like, well, I just saw this person yesterday, but I keep seeing the same photo again. And it's because they have a profile for this state, a profile for another state, and a profile for everything. And just because you start seeing someone seriously doesn't mean that they're automatically going to deactivate or delete the profiles. Even the way that the profiles are set up, they make it in such a way that even if you can't really delete it, you can deactivate it. So all the information that you put up there and everyone who you ever match with, it stays online. And this is something that many of you know, but a lot of people don't know. And I've seen people who are married from places that I've worked online. I've seen people who I meet on the street who are married, who are still online trying to find something extra to their marriage. And they're saying the things that they're interested in and what they like to do. And that's the type of thing that when you see it, you're like, okay, I knew this was the case, but this person making it very blatant. And it's usually people who know that their partner is not active on social media like that, or even if they are, they're just willing to risk it. And it's the kind of thing you wonder, well, where's the benefit for you? Now, for a lot of guys, I know when they get into a relationship, especially after you've been single for a very long time, they try to do everything for the person that they just met, and just to keep them in their life because they don't want to experience being alone. So what they do many times is they just do everything. They take them here, they take them there, when in reality you don't have to do any of that. Again, I'm going to go back and I keep reiterating. If someone likes you, the easiest thing for them to do is be with you. Or else they'll just make excuses as to why that can't happen. If someone wants to be with you, if someone wants you in their time, in their space, the easiest thing for them to do is make that time possible. Even if it's not the whole day, even if it's just a couple of hours, even if it's just a couple of quarters of an hour, they can make that happen. I'm telling you, the easiest thing for someone to do when they want to be with you is to be with you, or else any excuse will do. So that can come from just being with someone. A lot of you guys have been with someone and you break up for a period of time. Then the person calls you back and you're back into their life. And then you see that they're not communicating with you in the same way in which they used to. Guess what? They met somebody else while you were broken up. Or they've experienced being with a few other people. And now it's almost like that illusion that they had for you is broken. And you're wondering, how come this person that used to say this to me, say that, and say this is no longer there? Or it's not happening anymore? It's because they've got to the illusion that they had in your head as to what they were, because it's an illusion. A lot of what people call love, it's an illusion. And once that breaks, then they can make it for someone else. They can recreate that for someone else. But wherever their illusion broke with you is just where their illusion broke with you. And I noticed that a lot of ladies, once that illusion breaks in their head for you, then they can go out with other people and they can lament as to what happened with their relationship with you. But with you, that illusion is broken. And you knew it was an illusion when you were with them, because you know that you liked them and they liked you back. But what you didn't know was that, why was it such like a fairy tale fantasy with them? But it's because they many times they create this illusion of what is supposed to be and what's supposed to happen. And many times it's them giving you a lot of things, buying you food, many times taking you places, and you not having to settle for everything. But once that illusion breaks, then it's going to be impossible to get that back. So that's why I say you have to learn to move on. You have to learn to go to, if you feel that once that illusion breaks, the only thing that person can do with you is waste your time. which means you can set up dates. That's not going to happen. You can say, I'm going to meet at this place and we're going to do this at this day at this time. It's not going to happen. And you're going to be wondering, how come it didn't happen? This is the same person I was with before. But what you don't realize, that illusion broke, that magic, that spell is broken. And not for you to be sad about, it's for you to understand. It's for you to understand that what that person showed of themselves was not true. What they believed about you was not true. It's just something that they wanted to believe. It was a cool story, bro. It wasn't something that was actually the case. So this is something you'll realize the more you date. The more you date, you start to realize there are going to be people out there that will treat you in a way that you consider good, but it usually doesn't come from you being nice. I'm going to repeat that. You're going to find people that are going to treat you good, if not great, but it usually doesn't come from you being nice. And by nice, I mean texting all the time, calling all the time, wanting to be around the person all the time, asking how they are every 5 minutes, bending over backwards to please them. That usually doesn't get you any kind of reciprocity. That doesn't get you any kind of reciprocity. What you want to do is focus on the things that you are doing. Your most important thing in your life has to be the things that you're doing. You might think because you grew up in a country where Hollywood movies are teaching you, well, you have to be all up in her face. You have to do this. You have to do that. You have to be this kind of person. You need to shave your hair. You need to, trim your nails. You need to work out every day. You need to do it. You don't have to do any of that. All you have to do is focus on what you're doing. And this is especially for the guys, because I've seen them spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on people that are not deserving. You probably wouldn't spend that much money on people in your family, but you spend it on people just for a chance to be in their presence. I repeat, just for a chance to be in their presence, which is ridiculous to me. I see them on the weekends all the time. I see them at restaurants. I see them at bars. I see the girl walking with a guy, and everyone knows what's up, but the guy, he doesn't know that this is a game, and that's how the game works. Again, when the people are complaining that women are complaining, I don't find any nice guys, it's because, guess what? The nice guys that you've come across, you are not dating them. That's why you don't meet them. You see, that's the part they don't tell you. If you were going out with nice guys, you wouldn't say that. But you are not going out with nice guys. I'm going to say that again slowly. And it's from a quote that I read that said, when a female says, I don't go out with nice guys, I can't seem to find nice guys, it's because she's not interested in nice guys. That's why she can't find any. Because and the other quote was, when females decide to start going out with when females decide to going out with nice guys, that's when mean guys will start being nice. When females start going out with nice guys, that's when mean guys will start being nice. Let that sink in for a moment. Let that sink in for a moment. So what I'm telling you here are things that many guys are not getting to experience. They don't get to hear someone talk like this because many times you're raised by people by themselves. They can't give you this information. The only information they give you is from their perspective. The only information that they give you are from the Hollywood movies where you just have to chase a girl endlessly. And when I first started dating, that's what I thought I had to do. My first date, I was shelling out for everything. Just for a chance at what? A kiss on the cheek on the night? Kiss on the lips on the night? And I learned right away that stuff like that is not appreciated. People don't know what to do with that. And I don't know if it's because of culture, or I don't know, but this is where I grew up. I don't know if it's because of expectancy. That's something that's just expected. But you're going to find that the nicer you are to people, I'm not saying to be mean. I'm just saying be efficient, be honest, be straightforward. and you're going to see your results change than if you're just a nice person, a nice guy. When someone comes up to you and say, "Oh, you're so nice," what they're really saying is, "I see a potential sucker. I see a potential guy that I can manipulate. I see a potential guy that I can work my charm on and say whatever I want to him and do whatever I want around him, and he's going to be okay with it." So anytime that you feel you're being nice, or you're not being truthful to yourself, because most likely you're not that nice. You're not out there working with children and feeding the homeless. No, you're not doing that. Most of the time you're doing that because you're trying to get something in return, which in return it really is not that nice. But you're giving off an energy of, well, I'm just going to do everything to cater to you just for a chance to get into your pants. Guess what? Most women already know that. They already know that if you're being so nice to her, that sends off a signal that, hey, he's trying to get something, but he's not doing it by being himself. He's doing it by making believe he's someone else, by making believe like he needs to do these things for me because he's accepted that I'm an innocent creature that is deserving of nothing but what the Hollywood movie said I was. And that's a signal that women start picking up ever since they're younger. So you have to start realizing by being a nice guy, you're going to miss out on a lot of things, and most likely a chance to probably save up for your future, and probably the chance to really get to know who you are and really get a chance to talk to people for who they are and get to know who you can be instead of what you feel someone else needs you to be. So you want to break out of that thing that you might call shyness. You might want to break out of that thing that you call being the perfect guy, a gentleman. You can be a gentleman if someone falls down in front of you, and you might help them up. But as far as fighting people's fights that they've started, as far as, well, I'm just going to cover everything. I'm just going to go and go to places. I'm going to go shopping everywhere she goes. I'm going to do everything just because I want her not to get upset. You might want to reestablish what it means to be a person, because at that point, I feel you give off your identity, and that doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, for the ladies, if you're with someone who is just doing everything you say and it's not challenging you, then you're not with the kind of person that you should be with. If you're not with someone who's not questioning some of the things that you're doing or wants to see you be at your best, you can't be at your best when everyone's catering to you because they want to get between your legs. So I'd rather you should always be looking for someone you can learn from instead of someone that you can get something from, because you can get something on your own and you can get something anywhere. But when you focus on just, okay, well, I need somebody to be nice to me, you don't need that. You don't need anyone to be nice to you, because there's nothing that this person, by being nice to you, is going to get you. It's going to get you a feeling that you could get anywhere. You can get it by being on Instagram the next day, by taking the same selfie 50 times, and you get a different feeling, or the same feeling every day. But every day you're going to feel like you're the prettiest woman. But if you're not developing any sense of character, any sense of moral character, then you're going to stay the same person. But guys, if you're the type of guy who's going to be liking every photos where her boobs are out, or where she has a tight dress on, or she has a tight jeans on, then you're adding to the same kind of behavior that you say you dislike. So, if you're not selective when it comes to, well, all I need is someone who looks like this, guess what? There's only a few people who look like that. And the fact that you're saying you need someone who look like that, you just cut out a lot of people who don't fit that criteria. And you're just going to be nice to this one person because you feel that she's the kind of person you want to see walking with you on your arm when you go out. Well, that's something that you might want to reconsider as, do I really have a chance with this person? Or is it just going to become a competition as to who spends more on her, who's going to take her on the most trips, who's going to give her the rides on the most expensive cars, who's going to take her to the most restaurants? And if that's the kind of person that you want, you better have a real good job, or you might need 4 jobs at the same time. Now, I know there's a need for you, or maybe be a want for you to be with someone. And should you want that person to be attractive? Yes, you probably should. And you probably want someone who's attractive to go out with. But if you're going by the standards of what everyone else is going out with, then you're going to get what a lot of other people are getting, which is a lot of wasted time. So if you're chasing someone who has about 10,000 followers, I don't know how people even follow 900 people at the same time, because I find it hard to, follow a lot less. I'm not very popular on Instagram or social media. But when that happens, you have to realize, well, what I'm paying for her vacations, for everything, other guys are getting for free. So they're seeing her half naked, they're seeing her do whatever she wants, and Lord knows what else they're getting for free. So you have to give yourself some value. So you have to get in a place where your confidence is enough to say, well, if she's not interested in me like that, I'm going to move on and go to the next person. And women, you have to do the same thing. If you feel like you're in a relationship and that's complicated, I don't know what that means, it's complicated, you might want to decide, well, this is someplace I want to be, but then don't blame anyone else. Oh, I didn't know he was like that. I didn't know he was this kind of guy. I didn't know that he was going to do this to me. I didn't know that he was the kind of guy who needed 4 women at the same time. I didn't know that. No, there was something about that attracted you to him. There was something about him not acknowledging your presence that for you stood out. And it could have just been that you didn't know if you could have him exclusively. That made you decide, well, I didn't want to reach out to him like that, or even ask him if we were in a relationship. I'd rather just stay in a complicated relationship than tell someone we're exclusive, because at least I would have them in my company, in my space. And as long as I had him for a little while, I didn't mind sharing him with 50 other people. So if you don't mind doing that, don't even ask what you are. But at the moment where you decide, well, I want some kind of exclusivity, be ready to either be with him like that and you do your part too, or be ready to just end it if that's not what he wants and that's something that you want. Just that I don't think there's any such thing as I didn't know this was happening. I didn't know that every time he went to the bathroom on his phone, he was talking to someone else. I didn't know that he was the type of person that he was everywhere he went, he was meeting someone different. That's something that you told yourself so you can soften the blow, but it's not something that you were in the dark about. You knew that you probably were in the presence of a lot of people. You knew that you probably could have caught some kind of disease. You knew that there were probably some people he was even not. If he was in protecting himself when he had sex with you, you knew he was probably doing it with other people the same way, and you took chances and liberties with your health. So when I hear that, I don't believe it, and you shouldn't either, because everyone knows how contraception works. But you thought that if you did it this way, he might like you more. You might have even thought if you got impregnated by him that he was going to stick around, that he might have liked you more. So there's really no excuse for that type of thing if you say that that's not what you want. But a lot of times it's something that your parents don't tell you because they fell into the same traps. But you have to understand that you have a chance to tell this to your family or to your kids. And most importantly, ladies, tell this to your friends. Because if you respected each other a little bit more, there'll be less complicated relationships. If you respected the next woman a little bit more, there'll probably be a lot better relationships. And guys, if you respected marriages and relationships a little bit more, then you probably be less hurt when people get in the middle of your relationship. There's no reason for you to be texting someone when they're in a relationship saying, hey, what are you doing? What are you wearing? I miss you. No, you don't do that. You don't do that. That's how things happen. That's how people end up dead. That's how mysteries, sometimes these mysteries go unsolved because people just decide to act up and when they feel betrayed and when they feel that they're lied to. It wasn't a coincidence. It wasn't, they call it a crime of passion. Well, it was very passionate when you got your head sliced off. That it's not very, but a lot of people, they'll do it. They'll do it. And I think it's in a lot of people to do. And it's also a human behavior. So I'm not putting much judgment into it, whether you decide to do it in your life or not. What I'm saying is when people think that no one is going to look or going to realize what they're doing, they take liberties that they wouldn't have if they knew that someone was looking at them. It could be just right. It could be just you in the elevator, and you feel that no one is looking, or there are no cameras around. And I've seen people pick their noses, pass gas, or just start changing in front of the elevator, scratch themselves just because they feel no one is looking. Just like the same reason that criminal does something when it's dark, because it's going to be harder for people to see what he's doing or what she's doing. And even the daycare cameras, you see that they'll throw babies around by the arm or around the crib or in the crib or outside of the crib when they feel that no one is looking. So when people feel that their identity can be concealed, they'll do things that they wouldn't do automatically when everyone is looking, when they're live. And that's why a lot of people hide their faces. Sometimes you see profiles online that people hide their faces. And you wonder, who's this profile? Who's this person who just liked me? Who's this person? They hide their faces because they don't want people to find out what they're doing. They don't mind finding out what you're doing, but they want to conceal what they're doing. You want to keep it hidden. It's usually because they met someone else, or they're with someone else, or they just want to be nosy. But you have to be aware of these things, because the same people who are looking to see if to see what you're doing are the same people that many times you'll meet, and they'll say, "Oh, I know this about you," and you wonder how they know it, and it's because they've been researching you for a long time. And so this goes back to what I was saying before. There are a lot of people making money off of your ignorance. So what you don't know, there used to be the song that used to be like, "Oh, what you don't know won't hurt you. What you don't know can hurt you." I think it was a 90s or an 80s song. But that's where we're living in now. We're living in a time when, where people feel that as long as people don't know, it's not going to hurt them. And not only that, but it's tempting. So when you think no one's going to find out, it's tempting. You know, the buses can go wherever in just minutes. The trains could go wherever in minutes to meet someone. You can hook up with someone in another state, in another country, the same state, but in a different neighborhood where the person that you're with will never go. And then comes the weekends, and you figure out, who am I going to be with? The person who I really care about, or the person who I really don't care about? Am I going to be with my family this weekend, or am I going to be with my mistress this weekend? So these are things that people are deciding in private. These are things that people are not talking about. So when it comes to the business of love, you have to see this as a business, because when it comes Valentine's Day, it's a day where a lot of people are upset because those complications inside the relationships that they're in, they start coming out. Or those hangups that they have with someone who they used to go out with, they start coming out. When it's the holidays and people are close to their families and their loved ones, those hangups and those complicated statuses, they start coming out. And when those statuses start coming out, they really don't take into account, well, this person told me this when we were in private. This person told me that when we were in private. This person's saying that we're going to be together when my wife dies, or this person says we're going to be together when my husband's not in town. No, you're going to realize that you're the same way as when you came into this world, which is alone. And when people feel that they have no one to go to, then they start acting out. Then they start getting even more jealous than they were before. So you want to look out for people who say that they're in complicated relationships, because you don't know why they're in a complicated relationship. Usually when someone says it's complicated, either their partner could be in jail, they could be broken up, but they're playing hard to get at the moment. My question is, why is it complicated? Or if I'm on a date with someone, how did your last relationship end? And if they're honest, they'll tell you exactly what happened. And then you'll decide whether that's cool with you or whether you have some kind of issue with that. But if someone starts making a lot of excuses, I was with someone for 5 or 7 years and I didn't know whether we were in a relationship or not, that leads you to believe, well, this person doesn't really, it's not going to be very upfront about things. They're going to be about passive on a lot of things. And many times when people are cool with their complicated status, is because they have their own complications going out aside from their complicated status. You know, they could be talking to other people at the same time. So if you're cool with being complicated, then let it happen. But you're going to see that some people say, well, at least a little bit of this person, at least a little bit of this person is a lot better than nothing. It's a lot better than nothing. And then they're going to come those occasions. There's going to come a certain time. If you're not in a relationship, they're going to come a certain time of night when you wish that you were with someone. They're going to come holidays when you wish you were with someone. The weather's going to be nice. You're going to wish you were with someone. You're going to be after work thinking, wishing that you were with someone. And they're going to be no one around. And you're going to be wondering, well, where's my life going? Because it doesn't seem that I have a lot of people that I can rely on for any kind of intimacy. And intimacy is not just when you're with someone, but with people who really feel your energy. You're people that know you away from social media and your distractions. So you have to realize that, people are going to be people. And if you think you can change someone, that's the first step when you say that you're going to, things are going to be bad, because you really can't change people. If someone was partying before you met them, they can stop partying for a few months because they like their time with you. But eventually they're going to start thinking about those days when they used to party and why you're not partying. And what they're going to miss that kind of lifestyle. If they were a person that was very introverted, but now they feel because they're with you, they have to be more social, then they're going to start thinking, well, I missed the days when I didn't feel I had to go out to have a good time. So you really can't change someone. I think you can make small adjustments. So when people say, yeah, it's all about cooperating, well, first, before you cooperate, you have to learn to know what the person needs and who the person is. And if you don't know who the person is, you don't know how to cooperate with them. Because you might think you're cooperating with them just by meeting them once a week without knowing that, well, this person needed more from me. You might think that, well, I was meeting there were a lot of things that I could have shown the person about me, but they made it look like it was something more casual. So I didn't think I could be serious with them. So what I'm saying is, open up. Stop using those filters that you're using. Who are you using the filters for? If something is bothering you about the relationship, just say it. If someone who you are with is not bringing you any kind of satisfaction, and I'm talking about making you happy, I mean being productive in your circle, make it known. Make it known. Because if it's not clear, that's when it gets complicated. You don't know what they're thinking. They don't know what you're thinking. You're just sleeping in the same bed, having sex with one another, smashing each other. You don't know what the person is thinking. You think you know what the person is thinking. You might think you know what the person needs from you, but in reality, what you're doing is you're having a conversation in your head for them and for you. So many times when people are by themselves, I don't think that they're upset. And I don't think that they're happy. I just think that they are where they need to be. Because many times when they're people who are with people, they can be the saddest people you can meet in the world. Because they can't be themselves and they feel that they've exhausted every possible conversation or scenario in their head where they can include their partner. Or they wouldn't listen anyway, or they wouldn't get it, or they're expecting too much from them and the person might not want it. And, when you're in a relationship like that, you'll ask the person what's wrong, and they'll say, oh, nothing. And that's a very immature response, because as someone, someone who knows when something's wrong, they know when something is wrong. And when someone says nothing, you just sold yourself out. When someone says, what's going on? And you say, oh, or is there someone else? And the person says no, you just sold yourself out, because that was your opportunity to say, well, this is what's happening. Even if it's not someone else, this is what's happening and this is what I'm feeling. This is what I think about this relationship now. And when that doesn't happen, then it becomes, well, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm just going to keep living this sneaky lifestyle. What I always assume, just assume anytime you meet someone, just assume that anytime you meet someone that they're not alone. They're going to come with people in the back burner, people that have a lot of people who are after them. Even if they're not the most attractive person, it doesn't take an attractive person to have people after them. It just takes somebody who is living in the human world. And once people are after you, once people, when you get in a relationship, just because you are in a relationship doesn't mean it's going to stop those people from being around. So I'm one that lets people, I'm not that concerned with what people do when they're away from me. I tend not to be jealous. I tend not to be all up on what the person is doing because I don't like them to do it to me. I find that there are a lot of ways that people just keep texting you and keep texting you and keep texting you just to see what you're up to. And I think a lot of times they do it when they feel insecure because they just finished doing something. And as a human being, you can do whatever you want. The respect that you show the person you're with, that's just what you decide to show them. And a lot of times the agreement that you either have contractually or just verbally, but many people won't honor that, and they know that because many times they won't honor themselves. So I never think it's because of something that I'm doing. I always know that it's something that triggered that response, especially if they sent you about 4 or 5 texts in a row and you haven't responded. Or they say they're going to meet you and they break a date, and then they try to get in contact with you, and there's no response. All you do, but then they'll get back to you and they'll send you about 5 messages in a row. And then they'll try to add you in a lot of different social media pages that you didn't even know existed, and you have all these friend requests from them. And all it took was for them to show up. But that's what I mean. You just don't know what people are up to. But what you can be assured, just don't assume that you're going to be the only person. I think there's such a thing as someone decides to spend more time with you, and then you can, or someone trying to take you off the market by being married with them. But just from my experience, just by being in a relationship does not mean that you're in a relationship with that person by yourself. Now, there's the online relationship. There's a relationship that the person has with their family that sometimes takes precedence over whatever relationship you have with them. There's a relationship that the person has with their friends. There's a relationship that the person just has with people in general. And they'll tell you, I met this guy, or, I met this who's after me, and they'll tell you straight out. If people are honest, they'll tell you straight out. And I got a relationship with this person, and I've been seeing this person. Don't stop anyone from being honest with you, because then you know where they're coming from. And once you know where they're coming from, isn't that what we all want? Someone to be upfront with us? Isn't that all what we should want? Someone to be upfront with us, so then we know what to do. So when it comes down to that, I would say that just keep your eyes open, keep your ears open. Don't assume that just because you found the person where you found them, that no one has seen them before. For guys and for girls, the first dates are for questions. Ladies, pay for your own dates when you go out. Guys, don't just start spending out of nowhere because you start showing your cards. Don't invest time and energy into something that's not happening. If someone wants to be with you, they'll make that known, either through their actions, but mostly with their actions. And don't assume that just because someone is telling you that nothing is wrong, because sometimes people find it hardest to speak with the persons they love, but they say they love, more than the people that we're complete strangers. I guess that's why guys go to the bar after work sometimes, or if people go to strip clubs and just talk with whoever's there. But again, try to get rid of your filters. A lot of the filters is what keeps you back from getting to where you want to get to, because of the things you feel that you should say. If something's not working for you, just say it. There used to be a song in the 80s that went, shout, let it all out. These are the things I can do without. Come on, I'm talking to you. Have a good night. Have a good Saturday. Tomorrow.
This has been a Gilbert King Elisa production.